Jules Vaughn from Euphoria is one of those rare characters whose presence is felt before she even speaks. Her fashion does the talking long before her words arrive, and everything she wears seems to communicate a different part of her emotional world. To understand Jules, you cannot start with her dialogue or her plot, you have to start with her aesthetic. Fashion, for Jules, is not a hobby or a way to look trendy. It is a language, a form of expression, a shield, a diary, and sometimes a rebellion. Her clothes tell the story of a young person trying to create a version of herself that feels free, alive, and true, even when the world around her feels limiting or dangerous. In simple terms, Jules dresses the way she feels, and she dresses the way she wants to feel. Her style becomes a bridge between those two spaces. At the heart of Jules's fashion psychology is the idea of control. Growing up in environments where she often felt powerless or unsafe, clothes became one of the few spaces she could fully command. When she chooses a mesh top, pastel skirt, or neon eyeliner, she is not just dressing for fashion. She is reclaiming ownership of her identity. The bright colors, soft textures, and futuristic silhouettes all work together to create a world where she gets to decide the rules. In ordinary life, people often use style to boost their confidence or create a certain image. But for Jules, it runs deeper. Her style becomes a tool for survival, something that helps her move through a world that can be harsh, judgmental, or confusing. The louder her clothes are, the more clearly she draws the boundaries of who she is and who she refuses to be. Another part of the psychology behind Jules's fashion is her constant desire for transformation. She doesn't want to stay the same or be boxed into one version of herself. Every outfit seems to carry a feeling of experimentation, a sense of what if. What if she could be softer today? What if she could be braver tomorrow? What if she could be futuristic and ethereal at the same time? This restless energy is reflected in her ever-changing color palettes, silhouettes, and makeup. At times, she leans into fairy-like pastels that make her feel light and dreamy. Other times, she adopts sharper lines and bolder colors that make her feel powerful and in control. Through clothes, she tries on different emotional states, almost like testing different possible identities to see which one fits her soul the best. Her wardrobe becomes a laboratory of self-discovery, where every piece of clothing is a small experiment in becoming more herself. A big reason her style connects so deeply with viewers is because it mirrors the experience of growing up and searching for identity. Many people, especially teenagers, use clothes as a way to speak without talking. They dress according to moods, fears, dreams, or the type of person they want to become. Jules does this on a bigger, more dramatic scale, but the emotion behind it is universal. Her fashion feels honest, not because it's perfect, but because it's vulnerable. There are days when her clothes scream confidence and freedom, but there are also moments when her fashion reveals insecurity, longing, or fragility. Her style changes depending on who she loves, what she fears, and what she hopes for, and this makes her outfits feel like chapters in a diary rather than random fashion choices. Another powerful layer of Jules's fashion psychology is the way she uses clothes to build her own fantasy. She isn't just dressing for the world she lives in, she's dressing for the world she wishes existed. A world where femininity isn't policed. A world where softness and strength can exist in the same person. A world where she doesn't have to explain who she is to anyone. When she wears playful, candy-colored fits or bold cyber-inspired looks, she is creating a visual universe where she feels safe and understood. Her fashion becomes a type of imagination, almost like drawing her own character in a world where she gets to be the main hero. For many people in real life, clothes can be used to escape or dream. A certain jacket might make someone feel tougher. A certain dress might make someone feel like a version of themselves they haven't fully grown into. Jules takes that everyday idea and turns it into a full emotional universe. At the same time, her fashion also reflects her vulnerability and emotional scars. When Jules feels lost or overwhelmed, her clothes become simpler or softer, almost fragile. When she experiences heartbreak, her style shifts again, becoming either more protective or more exposed depending on what she's feeling inside. These changes aren't always obvious, but once you pay attention, you can see them clearly. In this way, her wardrobe becomes an emotional mirror. You can understand her state of mind just by looking at her presence, because her style is never random. It always carries a message about her internal world. One of the most interesting things about Jules is how she mixes traditionally feminine pieces with bold statements that break the rules. Part of the psychology behind this is her desire to redefine what femininity means for herself. She doesn't want the traditional, restricted version of girlhood. She wants an expressive, boundary-less form of femininity that allows her to be soft and wild, delicate and electric, dreamy and powerful all at once. Her fashion becomes a protest against categories. She refuses to fit neatly into anyone's expectations, and her clothes reflect that resistance. By choosing outfits that feel fluid and unpredictable, she protects her own freedom. It's like she's saying, if I can't be myself in this world, I'll create a new one through what I wear. Jules also uses fashion as connection and communication. She reads people through their style, and she uses her own style to send signals about who she is emotionally available to. When she dresses in softer tones around Rue, it speaks to a tenderness and vulnerability she feels in that relationship. When she uses sharper makeup and futuristic fits in other situations, it communicates a need for distance or independence. Her clothes act like emotional signals, telling others what version of Jules they are meeting in that moment. It's a powerful form of nonverbal communication that feels honest and raw. Another layer of her fashion language lies in the way she uses clothing to take up space. In moments where she feels unheard or unseen, Jules often chooses outfits that demand attention. Not because she wants to shock people, but because she refuses to disappear. Her fashion becomes a statement of existence. Bright eyeshadow, dramatic silhouettes, or bold textures are all ways of saying, I am here, and I deserve to be seen. For many people who have ever felt invisible, this is something deeply relatable. Clothing can make someone feel present, real, and worthy in a world that tries to ignore them. Jules turns this idea into an art form. At its core, the psychology of Jules Vaughn's fashion is the psychology of self-creation. She uses style the way an artist uses paint. Every outfit, every color, and every piece of makeup is a brushstroke in the portrait of her becoming. Her fashion is emotional, symbolic, experimental, and deeply personal. It reflects her hopes, her dreams, her pain, and her rebellion. Through style, she speaks a language that goes beyond words, a language that expresses who she is today and who she is trying to become tomorrow. To understand Jules, you must learn to read the clothes, because her fashion is not decoration, it is communication. It is her heart worn on the outside.